state budget hearings continued this week in Albany, and yesterday lawmakers held a hearing about education issues as we head into budget season. Joining me now to talk more about education is State Senator John Liu. He represents parts of northeastern Queens, including Flushing, Fresh Meadows, and Bayside, and he is the chairman of the New York City Education Committee in the State Senate. Welcome back to the program. Thank you for joining us.
How you doing, Bobby?
I'm good. So I want to dig into education issues, but first let me ask you about some legislation you recently introduced regarding our former mayor, Eric Adams, and some last-minute moves that he did just before leaving office back in December. This legislation is called the Election-Related Requirements for Initiating Charter Commissions, or if you spell out the acronym, it is the ERIC Act.
Oh my goodness.
Leaving no doubt as to who this legislation is directed at. So explain what this is about for us.
Okay, well, I can't believe you found that acronym to be such, but I would not say this legislation is about any individual person. This legislation closes a loophole. I don't think there was any intent by the framers of the charter or the previous laws to allow an outgoing executive, in this case the mayor of New York City, to create a charter revision commission that would then override any other potential changes to the charter, whether it be by a new mayor or even the city council. So what we're doing with this bill is saying that, listen, within 60 days of a general election, there should be no new charter revision commission created. Number one, it's unseemly. I mean, if you're the outgoing executive, you shouldn't be convening a new commission at that point. And number two, the way the law works right now is that it's actually nearly impossible for the new mayor to override what this commission created by his predecessor might do. And here, unfortunately, we have a pretty contentious relationship between a former mayor and the current mayor. I hope that changes sometime soon. New Yorkers don't really need to see that with everything that's going on. But this bill that will close a loophole. And so hopefully in the future, it's not just about what's happening now, but in the future, we won't have a situation where an outgoing mayor creates a charter revision commission to tie the hands of the new mayor.
And this commission that Mayor Adams created, I mean, it was literally the 11th hour, the last few hours in office on December 31st. Would this legislation, if passed, eliminate the current commission, the one formed by Mayor Adams, or would it only be forward-looking?
Yes. When this bill passes, it will also obviate the commission that was created on New Year's Eve. Yeah. By the outgoing mayor.
So let's talk education. The new schools chancellor here in New York City, Kamar Samuels, he's now been on the job only about a month. And yesterday up in Albany, he sat for about a 2-hour grilling before state lawmakers. First, let me just ask you about him. You've seen a lot of schools chancellors come and go in your time. How does Kamar Samuels compare to some past chancellors?
All right. So you're saying that I'm pretty old. I've seen a lot of chancellors. And that's true, Bobby. It's a fair statement.
I've seen a lot of them come and go myself, to be fair.
Many chancellors. I think Kamar Samuels is a breath of fresh air. He's youthful. He's energetic, and at the same time, he's got over 20 years of experience in every single position: teacher, principal, superintendent in the Department of Education, and he has already hit the ground running as New York City Schools Chancellor. But it's not an easy job, no question. And so, you come up to Albany, you're going to face the music in many ways, both from friendly legislators as well as legislators who may not be so much in line with you. And I think he did a great job of answering the questions, actually putting forth some new news that we hadn't heard before. And it shows that he's been thinking about what he needs to do as chancellor.
And talk about the news that he made, because I know you asked him about the the class size mandate, which is something that you spearheaded in Albany, which would require city schools to dramatically reduce class size, but at a cost of billions of dollars to the school system. And I heard him say that just to stay on target, the city would have to hire something like 6,000 new teachers next year at a cost of $600 million. So, I mean, is this really going to happen with that kind of price tag?
Well, I think there needs to be a plan to it. First of all, we needed to pass the law because It's only in New York City that classes are overcrowded. We're lowering it down to the statewide and national norms of class sizes. When there are too many kids in the classroom, the teacher can only do so much, and it shortchanges all the school kids in that classroom. So we need to bring New York City class sizes down to state and national norms. And it's not going to be free, of course not. It's going to require billions of dollars for which we already provided for in the state budget in the form of foundation aid. Foundation aid has been fully funded, and in fact, it was only fully funded that I allowed this law to be passed. Now, the problem for Mayor Mamdani and Chancellor Samuels is that the previous administration never took this requirement seriously. They never intended to reduce New York City class sizes, and so the inaction over 3 years is now has now left Mayor Mamdani and Chancellor Samuels with a huge, huge task. I want to work with this new administration. I want to figure out how we can get to the end goal. We're not going to lose sight of the goalposts. We need to reduce class sizes so that all kids can get a sound basic education. To get to that, we're going to need more teachers. Mayor Mamdani, during his campaign, talked about a great way to recruit new teachers. Chancellor Samuels talked about their effort to recruit new teachers. We even talked about this issue with the state education department in an earlier part of yesterday's hearing, where the state has also rolled out a strategy and a procedure to bring more potential teachers into the pipeline. At the same time, these new teachers will also need space to teach. So it's a matter of getting more teachers, but also building more classroom space. All this certainly does require money. This is why foundation aid has been put in the state budget. And at the end of the day, the biggest responsibility of state and city government is to educate our kids. That is the bottom line. And if it costs more money, well, we've already provided the additional state funds. And now it's time for Mayor Mamdani and Chancellor Samuels to hunker down and let's come up with a plan. If they need a little bit more time, say how much more time they need. Tell us what goalposts, what milestones they are going to achieve along the way so that we can finally get to the end goal.
Let me ask you, just a couple minutes left, and let me ask you a few more questions. One is mayoral control of city schools. Mayor Mamdani, before he took office, was against mayoral control, or at least wanted to reform it. Now he's for mayoral control, and I know the governor's talking about a 4-year extension. What is the legislature going to do? Is the legislature inclined to give him 4 years?
Well, I think this new mayor has been thoughtful. He wanted to do something. He certainly does want to engage more stakeholders, give more voice to the parents. At the same time, I think he understands that it's a vast system and there are lots of moving parts. So I also want to work with him on the issue of school governance in New York City. As you mentioned, Governor Hochul did propose as part of her budget package, including lots of laws and legislation, a 4-year extension of the current system of mayoral control without any changes. Uh, that is highly unlikely to actually last through the end of the budget negotiations, or perhaps even survive the budget. There's no fiscal impact, so there's no real need to consider this issue as part of the state budget itself, which is due April 1st. In fact, the current system of mayoral control does not expire until June 30th. So we have a little bit more time to figure out what the best system is. But I think if you listen to Mayor Mamdani and Chancellor Samuels, especially Chancellor Samuels yesterday in his testimony, he's very thoughtful about how best to move the city system forward. And from my perspective as chair of the New York City Education Committee, I always think that it's better to have a well thought out system in place for many, many years to come, not to have renewals of whatever system every few years, because I think that's destabilizing to the school system and therefore to our school kids. So I look forward to working with Mayor Mamdani and Chancellor Samuels on all of these issues. Super important for New Yorkers.
State Senator John Liu, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thanks.